Don't know what's going on with this streaming software. Nope. Yeah, I had to change the stream. It looked like something locked up in OBS. Not sure everybody else has figured it out yet. Like somebody else just hopped on. But let me see if the stream is working again here. That's why it didn't work. The firmware didn't update. Interesting. Apparently I figured out what the issue is. So are you not running an extruder, Michael? There we go. It looks like the firmware loaded. So now I can actually toggle this and see what happens. Well, managed to fix one thing. Where in the firmware are you setting ext equals 1? Or is that extruder that you're referring to? Or is it Marlin firmware? You're setting extruder equals 1, and it's not allowing you to use a second extruder. I'm sorry, a second end stop. So you have dual end stops is what you're saying. So let's take a look over at VS Code for a second. Inside VS Code, are your extruders enabled? Because if you want to use the second one for Xmax or Zmax, you have to remove the comment. So are you removing the comment for the second extruder right here? So you want me to set it to 0 extruders, then build? Let me see if I can try that. I get the weird feeling something moved. There it is. Gotta be around here. You're setting, when you say you set this to 0 and then you build? Let me try build real quick. And you're talking about when you see it in SKR. Whoops, wrong folder. Currently, these compiles are taking forever. Might be because I'm restreaming that it's taken so long. Well, on my laptop, builds take a while. On my desktop, they take between 1 and 2 minutes. Sometimes less. Okay, so that works. So let me go over to configuration.h, change the motherboard, and then change the chipset for platform IO. LPC 1768 we'll go with, and then build again. Might have me do a re-clean to actually build. Happy New Year, Dave. Yeah, this laptop is Windows 10 all the way. It's also not the normal laptop, so things are a little bit quicker on it. But my desktop is a screaming computer. I just don't want to bring it into this workspace because there's not a lot of space to place it. But I'll be building a smaller version to do streaming soon. I'm just waiting for the new GPUs to come out. Let me grab a SKR board here. Okay, it looks like it built, so I'm gonna try and do an upload. And while that's going on, whoops, I just did another build. That's awesome. That's going on. I'll try and figure out how to connect this correctly. Yeah, fix the focus here. Yeah, I think restream is what's slowing down my my actual computer a little bit here. But I think I understand what your problem might be on that. Thanks, Mike. So let's see if I can figure out what that issue is that you're actually seeing. So right now I'm displaying the actual computer. Let me see if I can go back to the build. It's probably running slow. I didn't do upload on it, so I'm gonna have to do it again. Oh, it looks like it failed. That's because it's trying to upload and there's nothing there. Let's try it again. Oh, I also know what the reason is. The jumper setting. I have to move the power jumper over. There it goes. Yeah, the Pro's a simple solution, but understanding what the issue is makes me curious. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually uploading the code, but I have a funny feeling I know what the issue is. Inside your firmware, either it wasn't enabled or the pins are being specified for something else. In which case you can just specify what the pins are for something else. But it's amazing how slow my computer's gotten with restreaming at the same time, trying to compile, at the same time having everything open. I think it's really time to switch to a different computer for streaming. So I just changed over from SKR 1.2 for the Pro. Right now we're looking at the SKR 1.4. Yeah, I'm pretty sure VS Code uses a lot of CPU, but the CPU is not a normal CPU. It's the Nitro 5, which I guess by today's standards is a little slow. But in my other machine, I've got an AMD 3600X. Happy New Year, 3D head tutor. How are things going in Europe? Wow, look, I failed again. That's awesome. The upload port. Let's try this clean. I think part of the problem is I switch boards in between setting this up, and I might be connected. Check. It's not connected. So let me go over and try and rebuild here. Sorry, I keep jumping off the screen so you can't see what I'm doing. Now it sees the drive. Let's see if the file's there, and that's probably what the issue is already. Oh, it's got some kind of file on there that I don't want there. Interesting. There we go. Sorry, I was doing a lot of experiments on this board before I actually took it out of and installed it. It was doing for dual color printing. I don't know if anybody's seen that video, but I basically convert a Ender 3 into 2 colors using an SKR board. Yeah, we're still in lockdown over here as well. Although you wouldn't know it by some of the people that live around here. But I'm confused. You're in Greece, the country, or Greece inside Rochester? Oh, there goes one of my batteries. Okay, that time it worked. I had a extra file that I put on the SD card to test to see if I could see it from other things such as LCDs or TFTs. So let me power cycle this real quick just to see if I can get it to load. And then I'll switch over to that screen. Let me see if I can do... Oop, gotta open that back up. Give me a second here. Desktop. if you can see it. Yes, you can. Connect. It says it's connecting. Let's see what the end steps say. So right now it says triggered. Doesn't say the extra end stop that I enabled. So let's go back and check in VS Code. Configuration, end stop. So this technically should show up. For some reason it's not. That's odd. So one of the things you can do is you can go over to source, pins, LPC 1768 for this particular version of SKR version 1.3. And let's see if we can find the actual board. LPC 1768, why is it not showing up? There it is. So if you scroll down through here, there might be an answer to the problem. Right now I'm looking for end stops. I probably scrolled right by it, so let me start at the beginning here. And search on end stops, or end stop. Apparently they're not listing the end stops the way they normally do. So let me see if I can find the pin. They're all LCDs. That's so weird. Oh, I know why it's not happening. If you look in here, at the very top or bottom, they have something written about what it refers to for the file. So there's an include someplace in here that I gotta find. Either include or something else. Here it is. So you need to go to pins common. Now I gotta figure out where pins common is. ETT pins common. Here are the end stops in some place in here. Well, I thought they'd be in here. Okay, now I really gotta investigate this problem. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up a browser and let you see what I'm gonna look up. Let me just get this up so it can make more sense. So right now I was looking through pins files. Sorry, I wasn't on the right screen. But I'm gonna go over to a browser in a second. I don't know if my browser is appearing, so let's fix that. Okay. So I don't know if you can see the browser, so I'm going to swap between screens so you can see it, hopefully. And I'm going to look up the actual board, hopefully, right here. So it's under SKR13, then you go to 4. Then we're going to go to hardware, and there's a pinout diagram in here someplace. Right here. So somebody's uploaded this. Let me see if I can make this easier to read. That doesn't look right. Almost like my browser is clipping it. So let me go back, find the other pinout. And that's not it either. Here we go. So what we're looking for is P 1_29. So if I go back to Marlin with VS Code and I search on P1 in the right window, .29. Doesn't seem to see it. So that means it's not in this pins file. So let me go over to 1.4, if I can find it. And there it is. So what they've done, it looks like they've changed inside here the actual pins. Looks like they're using it for stall guard for your extruders. And it looks like they're also using it for end stops. So it might be that they changed the way they set this up from years ago. Well, there's the end stop. So actually it's down here. So if you're not using stall guard, your limiting switches are actually here. So that's your X minimum end stop. That's your X or Y minimum, excuse me, and your Z minimum. So you can add these in by changing this around by going to the pinout diagram that's over here. And then let me see if I can zoom in. Right here, you can add additional ones for the ones in the back, being these, and change them to end stops if you want. I don't know if that answers your question. What software am I using for the code? Do you mean to edit Marlin? Oh, you're in Greece, the country. We have a city in the part of the state that I live in where Greece is right next to Rochester. It's a small city inside Rochester. But we don't have in Athens. We do have a Chile, which we call Chile, which I don't understand. Yeah, I'm using VS Code with Platform IO. It's a plugin that goes into VS Code. Apparently, the old thing that I used to use called Atom, every time I said Atom and had to go back and change the closed captioning so I could convert it into foreign languages, it would always come up as Atom the person, not Atom the element like hydrogen. It might be the way I speak. So, Michael, I think the answer to your question has to do with the end stop not working is possibly tied into they've changed the maximum end stops. And what you can do is you can edit those back to what they once were and then recompile them. It's a little bit of work, but you can use the old version of Marlin as a guide. But you're going to have to use a different 8-bit board to experiment, not load, but experiment with compile. Or you could probably look at the old ramps configuration and then decipher what they did there to roll it back to making them end stops. I think the whole problem is that they changed Marlin so that you could add other devices like run out for filament, and also power detection failures and stuff like that. Wow, it's actually busy in here. I thought everybody'd be sleeping on the first of the year. Yeah, they're trying to add functionality, Derek. That's one of the reasons that it gets confusing with the board when you think there's an end stop and now it's actually something else. But if you really want to be confused, check out the GTR board with the M5. There are so many disabled functionalities. Let me show you real quick what I'm talking about. I like this board because it's got a million pins, but now I gotta find it. So this might take a second. Let's see if I can cheat. I'm gonna go up to the core folder, the boards folder. Open up boards and do a search on GTR. Of course, that's the worst thing to search on. There it is. So the chipset is STM32. Let me go back down and check in pins if I can find it quick. So here's the GTR. This is massively confusing if you don't know what's going on. But if you read through it, you get a million such end stop limiting switches. So they give you, what is it, minimum and maximum for everything. But they also have other things that you can work with. They disable a lot of functionality. So like if you look for fans, they do some crazy stuff with that. Of course, now I can't find it because I'm probably scrolling right by it. There it is. So you can do, looks like 8 fans. They disable 2 on purpose. So when I was playing around with this board, I couldn't figure out why they weren't working until I jumped in here. And of course, I'm not talking on the wrong thing, so sorry about that. So inside VS Code, I've got to learn to flip my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. I actually found the board for the Big Tree Tech GTR. What I'm talking about is there's functionality in the board that they disable inside the actual pins file. And the way you can enable it is just to scroll over and remove the comments. And that'll bring these fans online. That's actually on the M5 portion of the GTR. One of my new favorite boards. The problem is I don't have a lot of time to investigate it at the moment. But I've made a couple of tutorials where I've talked about it. Yeah, a lot of people like to change the pin assignments around for other functionality. Hey Jessica, Happy New Year. Yeah, I was just talking about it. I'll actually bring up the BTT002 board. I actually have one. I actually have not programmed it yet. I just took it out of the package about an hour ago. Been sitting here for a while. Let me move my setup over here real quick and then I'll bring it up. One of these days I'll actually have multiple cameras on multiple desks so I can just switch to something else. But at the moment I'm working on a very tiny bench. Well, it's not tiny, but it seems tiny after you fill it up with everything. I just move some stuff around here and I'll bring it into view. You'll probably see it about like 4 seconds after I enable it. That's what you're talking about? Let me see if I can bring it into focus. And I also gotta fix this light real quick, so give me a few seconds to grab a battery. There we go. Yeah, I've never loaded the firmware. I might as well give it a try right now. Let me connect it to my computer first, see if it actually works. Then knock over my stuff. So it looks like it doesn't have a normal drive. Let's see if I can see it in Device Manager real quick. You're not going to be able to see this part because I blew up my last chat, so I don't want to do it again. So it says it's on port 10. So let me put in port 10 here to see if I can connect to it. So I can connect to the board. I'll show you what it looks like. So the board does come up, as you can see right here. See what M119 that says triggered. Apparently there's a filament trigger in there. So let me see if I can connect in VS Code. So I'm going to go over to VS Code so you can see what I'm talking about. So in VS Code, you have the little plug right here. Whoops. Make this bigger so you can see what's going on. So it looks like I can connect to it. Is this 8 or 32-bit? Looks like it's an ARM, so that'd be a 32-bit. Let's try and send code to it and see what happens. So I'm gonna basically close out of a bunch of things here in VS Code. Make sure that you can see what I'm doing. I want to minimize stuff so it makes sense. Never loaded this board, so this might be a complete and utter mess. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go over to Core Boards. Search on BTT 002. Looks like there's only one version of the board, so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to note where I am because it looks like it's a STM32. Means it's going to be interesting when we get to platform IO. I'm going to search on motherboard. Paste it in here. I'm gonna guess that it's -1 for the moment. And then I'm gonna go over to Platform IO and see if I can find the board. So do a search on BTT002. This is what it says it's using. I'm gonna copy that and bring it to the default environment. Paste it. And then we'll try just a normal build first to see if everything's okay. Let me scroll this up so you can see. I might have to do a clean or reclean before I build again. But it looks like it's building. But then I said that about everything else. Sorry, it's taking long to build, but at least we'll have an idea what's going on as soon as this finishes. Sorry, I needed to grab something to drink because apparently I'm getting cotton mouth. So it looks like I'm gonna have to upgrade my computer to stream where it doesn't take forever to build. But looks like the platform built. It's possible that I can load it. So let's try doing an upload. There might be an onboard drive. Or there might be a firmware that I need to upload, but meanwhile, maybe I should actually read the directions on it. So I'm going to go to my browser, and we'll see if we can look it up real quick. Let me just swap over so you can see what I'm doing. So, we have the Big Tree Tech website for GitHub. I'm going to go to the Big Tree Tech and see if we can find it on the root. Probably not there, so we'll go to repositories. You'll search on BTT002, and it looks like there's something here. Let's see if there's a manual. Oh, that's pre-compiled. Let's see. This might be helpful. Yeah, I don't see a drive on it. This firmware is upgraded with an SD card. So, might have to look at the bottom of it and see if there's an SD card underneath. Maybe there's a picture. Oh, it's got an SD card someplace. That's so weird. Sorry, I unplugged it for a second so I could look underneath. So there's an SD card, but I don't see it. Awesome. Maybe it's one of those ones you have to plug in. Well, it's a good thing I didn't do a tutorial on it just right away. Maybe I have a different form factor too. Here's the orientation of it here. So it looks like I got it the same way as the photo. No, it's gotta be done through there. Why am I saying it's got an SD card when I... Oh. I'm getting the USB confused with the SD card. On the diagram that I'm looking at here. I thought that was the SD card. So why are they making reference to an SD card? They might have the directions messed up. The firmware is upgraded with an SD card, which is very convenient and efficient. That makes it kind of hilarious because it's not convenient and it's not efficient. Well, don't know how much help I can give you on the BTT-002 at the moment because it looks like they're not being very helpful in their documentation. Let's see if there's anybody writing anything saying, hey, your information's wrong. But meanwhile, I'm going to click on upload again because apparently I disconnected the USB while it was doing that. And I'm going to double check device manager while that's going on to make sure that I have it working properly. I think it's working properly, it's just I don't know how to work with it. So it knows what type of driver it's using. Let me switch over to what I'm actually working on so you can see. I just hit recompile to see what's going on. With upload. I think it's going to fail. But it would be surprising if it works. Make sure I'm disconnected over here. Yep. This compile time is epically long. Yeah, I know their documentation is how do I say it? In the politest possible terms. It's got pictures. Okay, so you're saying it's like the Prusa board in that it's similar to ramps where you can just upload directly to it? So there might be a slight learning curve for me on this one, as I can tell everybody else is having that wonderful learning curve. I'm wondering if it's has to send a hex file to it instead of a binary file. Let's see what's going on up here. Maybe this will give us an answer. I'm going to build, going to the big tree tech. Right here, it's a binary. EIL, I'm not sure what that is. Or ELF, pardon me. But I'm going to have to figure out the process for loading this, because apparently I don't know it. And I can understand your frustration. Yeah, see, Prusa slicer, that's kind of an interesting term. Because I think of slicer, I think of, I'll write it so that you can see what I'm saying. This is what the original slicer is. And that's basically just breaking down your image so it can print. Okay, well, let's see if the Googles has an answer here. So I'm going back to their page. I'm going to go back. And then I'm going to go to issues. And no printer attached. That doesn't mean anything to us because that's a TFT. Connection error. Flashing the BTT. Doesn't write cur. Flashing over SD. Oh, they're saying flash through the TFT. That's interesting. So let's see what the first issue says. As the title reads, it seems to flash fine, but the bin file persists. This is different from 128 card for the BTT and both with the 2004 LCD, and sounds like they're talking about the LCD. But that makes no sense. They're talking about something that I don't understand unless they're using an LCD or TFT. Well, that's epically useless without a TFT drive. Almost like they're connecting via something else. Not USB, but a TFT somehow. So let's go back to the manual. See if they have an answer in there. There might be some picture or something that says what's going on. So we've got a reset button, Xmin, Xmax, or I'm sorry, Xmin, Ymin, Zmin. RGB, I don't know what 5 watt is. Might be 5 volt something. These are the thermistors, EXP1 and 2, and EXP3. AC fault, alternating current fault, maybe? I'm just spitballing. And I think these are extruders. Okay, so it's X minimum, or excuse me, X motor, Y motor, Z motor. So you have ZA, ZB, so it splits it between the two. And then it's an extruder. And then Mott fan. That might be a special fan. And it's got two fans up top. Heating elements on top. Well, that's an interesting place to put the heating element, needless to say. Then it's got a TFT display. So maybe what I could do is take out a TFT display and try it out that way. Let me grab one of those. Let's see. Problem is I gotta modify the firmware for the TFT display, and I don't know what number it's gonna be, so maybe someone was kind enough to figure that out for us. So now I gotta find a cable. It's gonna take me a second to find the parts here. Yeah, it's looking like I left the cable in the other room. I'm gonna have to go grab one. I'm gonna switch over the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So, essentially, pardon the mess here. You're gonna have to actually look at the diagram to see what the TFT reset button is for this. Resets that hanging one, I believe. I'm gonna have to go back over to the browser and then look inside to see what it says for that. See, it's 5 pins for that, so TFT is around in here someplace. Lovely diagram. Let's go back and see if the other pinout diagram helps. Okay, so RGB, red, green, black. I'm looking for TFT. There it is. So 5 volts is on that side, resets on that side, and that is the USB. So let's unplug the USB. And then I gotta figure out why the board is backwards in this actual picture. Huh, that's awesome. I'm guessing that the TFT is supposed to be up here. And it's not listed. It should be right around there. So I'm just gonna assume that I was plugging it in right. So I'll switch back to the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So plug it in like this. It plugs in. Huh. Maybe I don't know what that is. That's 4 pins. I need 5. That is super interesting. I would think that would be it, but it's not. I'm plugging in the wrong thing. So the TFT display is confusing me. I thought it was there. Anybody else know where it may be? In the bottom left, the right of the USB port. So over in here. There's 2 sets of headers, and I see what you're saying. Right here. Right here. And let's power it up and hopefully not cook anything. So it powers up. There's no printer attached. So let's see if we can fix that first. Baud rate. Back it down. Not going to work. That's awesome. So I guess that suggestion earlier is we're going to have to figure out the software that someone was talking about for the Prusa. So I'm probably going to have to do some research because you watching me struggle is humorous to me and to you probably. And it's getting kind of late. But I might be online tomorrow in the afternoon and possibly Sunday. So for those that drop by to watch me experiment with Restream and setting up OBS, thanks for taking the time to watch. And please like and subscribe. Take care, all.